What's going on? It's your boy Bowie here. And this video, I want to talk more about the Drake and Kendrick situation. But really, I want to focus on how Drake is the monster that we created. You know. And when I say we, I mean music fans, excluding myself. Because I was never on the goddamn Drake gravy train. Not even a little bit. I don't know that man's discography. I don't know his albums. I don't even know a lot of his singles. You know. I don't know them intimately anyway. I know them because, you know, who doesn't know started from the bottom, you know what I'm saying? Like, who hasn't heard of a Drake record, you know what I mean? Like, I know of them, you know, through just osmosis. But in terms of like knowing them as a fan and as a listener, I don't, because I'm not a fan. Never have been a fan of Drake. One of the reasons I've never been a fan of Drake is I saw his freestyle, or so-called freestyle, with Funkmaster Flex, and I was mortified. I knew then that this was not the one for me. You know what I'm saying? My boy was stammering. My boy was unsure. He was stuttering. He was, you know, combing through his phone trying to find anything that he could freestyle with. And he couldn't find nothing. And he just spent the whole freestyle going, yeah, yeah. Like the whole time. It was the most pathetic thing I had ever seen in my life. From someone that's supposed to be a new up-and-comer. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's supposed to be this amazing new artist. You know. I was like, hell nah. Oh, cool. I was like, fuck no. And from then on, that was in 2009. From that point on, I was like, nah, fuck that Drake dude. You know, what I gotta listen to him for when I can listen to real MCs that know how to freestyle. Oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was where I was at with it. Oh shit, I did it too late. But that was me. I didn't have hordes of hip-hop fans joining me in that journey. You know what I'm saying? The vast majority of people were on that boy's nutsack. And they swear up and down that his first album was like amazing. Maybe it was. I wouldn't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, he had decided for me how much I should listen to him. Because I'm like, bruh, if you can't even say one of your own goddamn verses from your album on that bitch, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. But, you know, and I can't tell you the first album. I think it's Take Care or Thank Me Later. I don't fucking know. I couldn't tell you. I never got on the train. And I'm not saying this as a way to, you know, to flex or no bullshit like that. I'm just saying I'm one of the rare people that didn't really have any kind of investment in Drake as an artist. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else did. Nobody seemed to mind that this guy was fucking fronting and faking in his music so long as those damn hits was coming. As long as he could sit there and make you dance and wave your hands, as Kendrick said, motherfuckers didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Cause let's get it clear. Drake has been in the hip hop game for 15 years at this point. I've been hearing about Drake since literally high school. That was 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. Hold on. That's cool. If he, actually was deserving of the accolades, but, my boy seemingly had very little resistance from some of hip hop's elite best. Drake's been on a bunch of songs with Jay-Z, a bunch of records with Rick Ross, a bunch of records with, any top artist you can think of. Alicia Keys, Rihanna, anybody you can think of just about, Though I don't know if he ever did a record with Eminem or Busta Rhymes. Don't know about that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, the guy had access to anything. And because he had access to hot beats, people didn't care that he was basically cosplaying as a black person. People didn't give a damn. Wait a minute. This does less damage on here. Hold on a second. Yeah, but and that's what I think is so interesting. As long as motherfuckers... Okay, see, that's still doing mad damage. Never mind. But, Jesus. That's what I think is so interesting about all of this is that, ever since Kendrick put up the whooping on Drake, now people remember that, oh, yeah, we didn't actually like him this whole time. I'm like, what? Y'all just now remember that this dude, you thought the dude was corny and all this shit? You're just now remembering that? You're just now, you waited for Kendrick Lamar to come out and say the things that have been obvious about him for the past 15 years? It's very clear that though the guy is ethnically black, he's been culturally white this entire time. When you listen to Drake in interviews, particularly with white interviewers, Drake's a white guy. You would never know that the person talking is a black man. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to shame him or any other biracial black person out there that got raised by a white parent and is therefore more culturally in tune with their white side than their black side. My problem is that kind of upbringing never made it to his music. Never. In Drake's music, he always cosplayed as somebody, a black person, a black American from some region of the US. Whether that was somebody from New York, somebody from Atlanta, somebody from, he ain't did West Coast yet. He's cosplayed as a Jamaican, you know what I'm saying? He's also been Puerto Rican. on a record or two, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's been everybody but himself. And then all the while, his music has gotten more aggressive. He's put more street shit in his music. And it's like, bro, you are the furthest thing from street ever. You didn't grow up in no hood. You don't do no gunplay. You don't sell no drugs. You don't do none of that shit, bro. And you don't have to. You don't have to. We understand that you're special because you don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we understand that that's not who you are. Just like we understood that about J. Cole and Kanye. What the fuck? Bruh, wow. This is very aggravating. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, my whole thing is Drake has been cosplaying as his idea of a black person this entire time. And not a damn one of you motherfuckers had anything to say about it when the music was hot. This man has shot entire videos in somebody else's neighborhood. And y'all didn't say shit about it. Y'all didn't say shit about it. Let me see. Okay, that's too late. What I'm trying to do is practice the timing. Because what happens is Shao Kahn hits boom, on. So I wanted to release at that point. Yeah. So, nah, it's too early. But I just think it's so wild that it took for Kendrick Lamar to come out and basically say all the things that black people have been saying about him, that people have always noticed about Drake this entire time. It took for Kendrick to come out and say things that were very apparent and obvious from the jump that other people have already criticized him for music fans to be like, oh yeah, Drake really does do that. He really is trying to be black. He really is blah, 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 blah. He really does seem to like little girls. Now motherfuckers running around hopping on Kendrick's nutsack. And the inconvenient truth of all of this is a lot of this is happening because Drake's music hasn't been hitting the way that it once was, at least in the eyes of his fans. If Drake was still making these monster hits and having these albums that most people were satisfied with, Kendrick could have literally did all the same shit that he did over the course of this beef. And a lot of y'all would have sat there and you would have waved him off. You'd have been like, fuck that. He still got bops though. You know what I'm saying? But because the bops ain't bopping, now you motherfuckers don't care. Now it's like, okay, fuck Drake. It's okay for us to hate him because he's not entertaining to us anymore. And I find that attitude both fascinating and, frankly, I think it's kind of disturbing. Because it's like, somebody can do no wrong as long as the music's right. And I think that is like just wild as fuck. Somebody can do no wrong as long as the music is right. That don't make no goddamn sense to me. That don't make no motherfucking sense. It's easy for people to talk shit about Kanye West now because his music ain't hitting. Dude, you know, tried to insert his whole ass into the middle of this Drake and Kendrick beef, and nobody even cared. Why? Because his music ain't been hitting like it used to. So people can be whole ass problematic so long as the music is hitting. That's the message I'm getting from all of this. And I just think that shit is crazy. I'm like, bruh, if a motherfucker's a problem, they're a fucking problem, whether their beats are bumping or not. Like, it very much reminds me of what happened with R. Kelly. It's like 2 years prior to the Ignition remix, there was a whole ass sex tape of him being circulated where he peed on a 13-year-old girl. But by the time Ignition was out, didn't nobody give a shit about that. They was too busy singing that fucking chorus and bumping the hell out of it. And then R. Kelly made a whole career out of trying to make Ignition and Step in the Name of Love records. That was his whole career after that. You know what I'm saying? Because every song he made sounded like them two shits. Anyway, point is, long as his music was hidden, it's like motherfuckers didn't even care what he was doing. And that's the attitude that I'm trying to scrutinize today. And the reason I bring it up is because that same mistake is being made with Drake. Now that dude's music ain't, you know, since now that Drake's not in his musical prime like he once was, now it's okay for people to shit on him. You know, now it's okay for Kendrick to come out and take 2 big deuces on this nigga, 4 big deuces on this nigga, and the whole damn hip hop is like celebrating. You know, you got the BBL Drizzy record being played in random spots like gyms and shit. There was even a salsa remix of it, which is insane. And then of course the They Not Like Us record, that shit's blowing up all over the goddamn internet and the radio and all that shit. And it's a dope song. Don't get it fucked up. And Kendrick is one of my favorite fucking artists of this new era, alongside J. Cole. So he deserves for people to really fuck with his music and shit. But it's like, it's just so interesting how quickly people pivoted from Drake towards Kendrick, acting like they don't know all the words to Controller, acting like they weren't the ones buying those albums in high school and college and all this shit. The vast majority of people that have turned their backs on Drake now and are saying that he was a pedophile now, they were Drake fans. Y'all brought that monster to life. Y'all let him sit there and lie to you for years and years and years and years and years, and you said and did nothing because the music was hot. And honestly, I'm gonna need y'all to examine that shit. I'm gonna need you to take accountability and responsibility for that shit, because it's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. Now, I'm not on a pedestal. I'm not on no high horse. My faves are problematic as shit too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna say this. I believe in some things. I believe in some things that will not allow me to support a man who fixes his face to say negative things about black women. I can't support that nigga. I don't give a fuck. I can't support a nigga that beats a black woman. I can't support a nigga that sits there and comes out his face and says that dark-skinned women are inferior to light-skinned women. I can't support that shit. I can't support motherfuckers that do anything with children. Not me. If this nigga's involved in heinous motherfucking activities, I can't support that shit. I can't ignore that shit. Something in my psyche won't allow me to just wave that shit off and pretend as though it's not important, like some of y'all be doing. And so I implore you, if you don't have a spirit that works like that, I think you need to find you one. I implore you that if for some reason you can ignore things like that, I really suggest that you learn how to not ignore them. I implore you to start thinking about what would happen if some famous rapper or some famous R&B singer sat there and treated your family members like that. The reason why I can't support some of these dumbass rappers and singers that say and do these wild things against black women is because I got too many black women around me. You know what I'm saying? I got too many important black women and even non-black women in my life that I care about. I got too many of them to turn around and be supporting some motherfucker that acts like they hates them. You know what I'm saying? I got too many black female students. I got too many black female cousins. I got too many black female loved ones. I have a black wife. And she's unambiguously black. You ain't gonna mistake her for shit else. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have some of these black girls that can sort of cosplay as some other ethnicity, which they can't help and that's not their fault. But what happens is when you have women like that, people treat them better than the ones that are just black. You know what I'm saying? So, and I do think some of that played into Drake as well. You know what I'm saying? I wonder how successful Drake would have been if he were the same color as Kodak Black. I wonder how marketable he would have been. You know? I also have to wonder, to be fair to Drake, how easily or how much less easier it would have been for people to turn on him if Drake looked more like Kodak Black. If he was at least the same skin tone as Kodak Black. Because as much as there is light skin privilege in this country, people love making fun of light-skinned people, particularly light-skinned men, and painting them as soft or less masculine and shit like that. And that's some bull-ass shit. That's some bull-ass shit right there. A man is a man. And it doesn't matter how much melanin he's got in his skin. It's no coincidence that, you know, people portray Kendrick as the fucking boogeyman. And he so happens to be darker. Sort of similarly to how they portrayed 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? I don't find that coincidental. You know what I'm saying? There's some colorist underpinnings to some of that. Not conscious, but subconscious. Because darker skinned men are perceived to be more masculine, more aggressive, and therefore more scary. Whereas lighter skinned men are seen or you know, they are depicted and perceived to be less threatening, less scary, less masculine, more feminine. A lot of times, such as in Tyler Perry movies, the lighter skinned dudes are portrayed as the good guys and the darker skinned ones are evil. That's very purposeful, you know? That's a relic of slavery. You know what I'm saying? And that's some bull ass shit right there. But all in all, I just wanted to get some of you guys to think about how critical you are of Drake now versus how critical you were of him last year, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. Everything Kendrick said about him in the year 2024 was just as relevant in 2014. Virtually everything. I mean, he's gotten worse now, Drake has, but in terms of new developments, there hasn't really been a whole lot of them aside from him sitting there talking shit about random black women. Not random ones, but just the ones that have pissed him off, or the ones that rejected him for some reason. You know? These criticisms have been true of Drake for a very long time. And given how true they have been, it's very interesting that people are deciding now to convict him of these crimes when he's been guilty of them for years. It's very convenient for people to be falling off the Drake bandwagon as the perception of his musical ability has decreased. It's very interesting that he's being abandoned now and being made fun of and all this shit. Whereas before, every other radio person was proclaiming how much of a dope MC he is and all this bullshit. Let me tell you something. You can't be no dope MC if people can't tell whether you're the one penning your rhymes or somebody else is. When there's an open question as to who's writing your fucking rhymes, you can't be considered no top tier MC. I don't give a fuck. 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 So Drake is not in no top 5 nothing discussion as far as fucking penmanship, lyricism, none of that shit. Because some of them lyrics ain't his. I don't care nothing about somebody writing a hook for you or nothing like that. That don't even matter to me. I'm talking about the goddamn rhymes. But, you know, I just think it's so crazy that niggas is like so ready now to abandon Mr. Duckman when they were not on that same energy last year, or even they just weren't on that same energy. It's just fascinating. This is fascinating. But I make this video because even if Drake's career winds up being over because of this beef, that's a net positive. But I'm here to tell you that Drake will not be the last. He's not going to be the last person that comes in and cosplays as a black person. If anything, Drake has opened up the gates for those people. Look at Iggy Azalea. Look at Tekashi 6ix9ine. You know what I'm saying? These people, I mean, even someone, I ain't gonna say Ice Spice so much because she at least appears to be a native New Yorker and shit. But I'm saying, you have these people that are non-black cosplaying as black caricatures, and that's their whole musical personification. They're gonna be the most stereotypical depiction of a black man or woman that they can find, that they can, you know, reasonably muster themselves up to be. Meanwhile, when you analyze their real life, it doesn't match their music. You know what I'm saying? So Drake will not be the last one, and he's not going to be the last one that's successful as fuck. So people can celebrate Drake's departure or Drake's fall from grace, but understand that somebody else is coming to take that spot. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not in the next 5 years, but somebody's on their way. And I'm gonna need us to not be so fucking dumb, deaf, and blind this time. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need us to have our fucking eyes open and perceive things as they happen, and not have all this fucking 2020 past tense vision. You dig what I'm saying? Because it's easy for mad people to see now that Drake was problematic, but it's like, why didn't you see this when it was happening? Why are you waiting until now to say that he's a problem? Why you waited until damn Kendrick Lamar come out and said he's a problem to admit that, you know, he's an issue? Worse yet, why are you pretending as though he got here completely on his own? Like y'all didn't help him. The same motherfuckers singing the Kendrick songs now and the Metro Boomin songs. Some of y'all are the same motherfuckers that listen to Views, and the same motherfuckers that helped prop him up here. I'm gonna need you to make sure that you're not one of those people again when the next motherfucker pops up. Because they're on their way. They're on their way. That's very interesting. That person's on their way. That's what you need to know. And I'm going to need y'all to be better than that. We need to be more vigilant than that. Because as much as Drake has elevated this genre to new heights, he's done a lot of damage as well. Authenticity, credibility, telling the truth, being the one to write all of your own fucking rhymes, all of that shit has been severely compromised under Drake. And those are values that we should never lose. Never. Hip-hop is black culture. It is for everyone out there to enjoy and share and partake in. But it should never be misconstrued and divorced from the people that created it. And it should never be divorced from the black struggle for liberation. And anyone that enters this culture that has that effect needs to not be in our goddamn culture. And since there are no more gatekeepers around, we got to be the gatekeepers. That includes you. You dig what I'm saying? That's what I want to say. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all listening. I'll catch y'all later. One.